appreciate all the blessings God has given me, and I want to repay it to you like this. Clap your hands. Everybody clap your hands. Introducing. This is the joint where we give shout outs to all the peeps, you know what I'm saying? You know we couldn't do this joint without...
Hello everybody. I have a special guest with me today. It is Wayne A. Young, the publisher of none other than Port of Harlem online magazine. So I'm happy to have my brother here today, and we're going to get right into it. We have some political talk, online political talk to have with folks. So let me bring Wayne up right now.
Well, it's good to see you as opposed to just seeing your post, Victor, all the way from Copenhagen.
Absolutely. You as well, brother. You as well. But your posts are great, by the way.
Likewise. It always gives me good energy, so I like it, especially when it's coming from outside of the United States. We thrive on having a Pan-African audience.
Absolutely. And that's kind of how we linked up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you brought you brought a larger perspective, and that's what a lot of our readers like, and some of our readers absolutely need.
Thank you very much. And by the way, Wayne gave me a small spot. He mentioned my book, by the way, Afro Danes, A Successful Story. He did a small piece on that. So thank you very much on that again, Wayne.
Hey, that was a plus for us, my brother.
Absolutely. So look, my guests are happy to meet you, and I'm sure they're going to be coming in. But in any case, you are here, and they're going to get to know more about you and Port of Harlem magazine. But we're here today to talk about the political environment of the United States of America. Online.
Hey, that's hot these days.
That is hot. And that's also a place we meet. We tend to run into each other on those streets, right?
Exactly. And I'm so happy to see that so many of our Gambian readers are following to certain degrees to what's happening here, and some of them have been more enlightened on issues. I have one brother. This is like my better friend's son-in-law, and he's in Italy, and so he went the back way, meaning he went illegally to Italy, and he's there now legally, I suspect. That's what he tells me, and he's Muslim. And he says, "Oh, but I like Donald Trump." And I'm like, "Seriously?" And I asked him why. He sort of gave me some reasons. I said, "Well, you have aspirations of coming to the United States, and Donald Trump does not like Muslims. There's a thing called a Muslim ban, and it may be expanded.
Right. You didn't know that.
You want to come here. So you like somebody that doesn't want you and don't like you?" And then only thing I was shocked about is he said, "I had to think about it." I was like, "There's nothing really." I didn't tell him, but in my mind, I was saying, "There's nothing to think about at that point."
Right. What is there to think about? He doesn't like you specifically for your religion. And
exactly. Point. Right. Point. Period. Done.
That's true. That's a phenomenon that exists on the net. And, I guess for us, it can be personalized as Americans, right? As citizens, but also as Black men, right? And today we tend to see, they even say, the data suggests, I can't quote the data off the top of my head, but the data suggests that 15% of Black men.
That's about right.
What is going on with that, man?
I don't know, but right now I'm not in the mood to play with people like that, because I'm like, it reminds me of Reconstruction 1 or Reconstruction 2. And I think about, what happened when we had this freedom right after slavery, and that we all of a sudden had this inclusion policies, and then it was just lost. How did people react? It should have been a life and death situation. So to me, I don't want to repeat that. So I do see it as a life and death situation. I don't have time to play with that. So I ask these guys who say they like Trump, or they want to talk about the fuzzball on Vice President Harris's dress. Like, her fuzzballs are not important. The point is that you're going to be just like Harriet's husband. And they don't know who Harriet's husband is. I'm like, yeah, but you're the one that always talking about that if you were Harriet, you would have shot somebody. Well, you wouldn't even shot anybody because you would have been her husband, and you need to go look up and see what her husband did. So you have a good history of being that way because you're being just like him. And it's more of them, even the person who brought the end of John Brown's revolution. And John Brown was going to have himself, some other white guys, some black guys in slavery violently. Mm-hmm. And the person who told him was a black mail handler. The person who funded him was a black woman. The only reason why the black woman did not get killed for funding him because the white man refused to snitch. So I said, you've been just like the black mail handler. And I can give you some more examples. So you want to be like them, or you want to be on the right side of history?
You know something? That's amazing that you said that, because I went on a panel online. It was a YouTuber, and I guess he's a young guy. I'm not sure. I mean, in terms of my age, right? I'm 54. Okay. I'm assuming he's more maybe in his 30s, somewhat around that age, close to 40 maybe. But he mentioned something about himself, and he said us, because I told him I was from DC, right? And he said, okay, he's from where? Texas, somewhere in Texas, right? And I think it's H-Town. It must be Houston, right? Okay. And he was he found it interesting, like that me being from DC, he called himself a kinky-haired African or kinky-haired black man. And that's interesting. What you just said is like this kind of connection between like the blacker you might be or the realer. There's something there. I'm actually, I don't know what it is, because I'm shocked when I see it, right? To think that kinky hair or blackness would be attached to Trump. But it seems like, I mean, we all attach. There's nothing wrong with having some kind of identity, right? And a connection to your identity. But in this case, it seems to be the two most extremes. Like, you would never expect that a person that sees themselves as black and a rebel rouser or a freedom fighter would be aligned with Trump's values.
Yeah, it might be, someone told me, some of my other followers would say that it's things like it's over masculinity, too much testosterone. I'm like, maybe that's what it is. But, having too much testosterone or being over masculine is not going to keep you from seeing the other end of the rope. If Pence saw the rope, you're going to get the rope.
Yeah, basically either way. Yeah.
So, it's not even something to play with.
Okay. And let me ask you this. What do you think that the thing about the idea, I thought about this too, when they were attacking Kamala, there's something that comes up. They keep suggesting that her great ancestor somewhere in Jamaica is a white man who owns slaves.
So
I found that
probably did too. Yours probably did too.
Check this out. I find it because of that. I find that that's a very weird argument, because they made the association, right? I didn't know this, but I found this out. The association was made because of name. They didn't even go into any other data. They don't really have any history about it.
They don't have the money to do it, the time, or the intellect. All that takes money, time, and intellect to do genealogical studies. You just don't go up and open a book and look at it. No. I mean, I just paid a guy to look at mine because I got tired of looking. I mean, I looked at mine for 30 years, and I've looked at it, and I've done more, and I've done more over a 30-year period. And I'm like, I got so tired that I wanted to get to the end of it. I just hired the guy to do it. And you just don't hire anybody off the block. I went and called the guy who's head of the first African families in English America, because these are like black experts in genealogy. They're experts. They have the documentation to prove that they know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And he said, Wayne, this is a guy I suggested you, two of them. You could choose which one you want. And then he said, well, these are his credentials.
Exactly.
And so, and he looked at documents that I saw, but his knowledge level is much higher than mine. So he was able to see and explain things quicker than it would have taken me to look and then try to look for the answers.
Yeah, quicker and more concisely. Right.
Exactly. And so I tell these ADOS people talking about they're going to have lineage reparations. I said, the people who you expect to get a check, they won't be able to get a check because they can't even afford to pay somebody to do this work. So who's gonna be able to afford to pay somebody to prove and to document these things? Probably somebody with money already.
Probably somebody with money.
Yeah.
But check this out. Here's the crazy thing. When I thought about it, because it's done by name association, that's the ground for it. Her name's Brown. His daddy's great grandmother's name is Brown, and she came from a town called Browntown, right? And where the guy, whoever, the town was named after the slave master, right? Here's the thing. That's all of my name's Bennett. And my family literally migrated from a town called Bennettsville.
Right.
And that town called Bennettsville used to be Bennett's plantation. So it's the same story. And most of us have that same story. We go back to some. And so I was like, wouldn't you be offended that they would even use that as an example?
They would think, no, I'm offended they even thought it.
But look, if they attacked her with that, they're obviously attacking us.
They're attacking themselves. They're like a cancer to themselves. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And can you explain things to folks online these days, or is it more difficult?
It's more challenging. I even had a lady yesterday tell me, she called me, well, sir, with all due respects, you need to listen to young people. And I was thinking, that's real nice of you to be kind, but that doesn't relieve you from being stupid.
No.
Because if I'm the elder, doesn't it come with me knowing more than you?
Right.
So why are you giving me all these respectful words, but not respectful in spirit?
Exactly. Off the top.
Yeah. So I'm explaining to you something very simple. And I don't know what it was, but I asked her some certain questions, and she said, "Well, I answered them already." I said, "No, you didn't." So you're gonna go to your teacher, right? And tell your teacher you got the right answer. And she just said, "No, you don't." He said, "Yes, I do." I was like, "Well, you probably failed the class."
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I stopped engaging people. On this YouTube, I get people every day that leave comments for Donald Trump. And I'm starting to think a lot of them are actually paid trolls.
I know.
In the world, because sometimes the English sentences don't aren't as apt as you would think they would be for an English speaking person, right, or American speaking person, right? And but then even the ones that I think are real, I don't engage much outside of fun, because I already know it seems like they're just going to repeat the same lines over and over and over.
And anything that you say to them is somehow not sufficient.
Right.
And you say, well, give me a link of what you're saying. Well, I don't have to give you a link. Well,
yeah, no reference.
Again, I'm like, well, in high school, at least back in Gary, Indiana, when we had to graduate from high school, we had to at least do a paper your senior year. We had to learn how to go to the library and document your source. Yeah. That was 12th grade.
Yeah. And that's exactly what's going on.
And I'm saying these people must have never went to either a public school system like Gary, or they never passed 12th grade. One of the two.
One of the two. And also don't intend on doing it either.
Exactly. Exactly.
But they don't do it. Yeah, but that's exactly it. There's a lot of the comments seem to be anything outside of what you can prove, anything outside of what the public record shows, right? It's always a conspiracy, or always, I thought, I'm thinking, that's the new one. I'm thinking he did it because of this, the excuse kind of comment. I'm thinking where they in Trump's mind, they know what he thinks, but you're nobody. You're the average Joe, but you know what's in Trump's mind.
Exactly. And my response is, I don't know. And I constantly, when people ask me certain questions, I say, I don't know. And then they say, well, you know so much. I said, I just said I don't know. That's what I know, that I don't know. I mean, I'm not Trump, so I wouldn't know. There's a lot of things you just don't know. And they said, well, it's happened in history. I said, well, it happened one time. That don't mean it happens going to happen twice. I don't know. That's why I defer to certain people. So the guy would ask me this morning about something related to reparations. I said, I don't know. When I have those type of questions, I call, this lady named Nikichi. He said, well, can you write to her? I said, the next time I see her, I ask her.
Right, exactly.
I want to know, well, like I see her walking the streets. And if I see her on the street, I ask her one day.
Exactly.
But, you know, to me, it's not like it's something, you know, like I have to go and for him, you know, at least this one person, he's learning to start looking things up. If he asks me a question, he start learning to at least look things up. He asked me what my feelings are on reparations. I said, well, you must don't read Port Harlem magazine because it's right there in every issue under activities, under reparations, so you know where we stand.
Yeah, you can't do the homework for everyone else. You can't do what you're supposed to do for self. You can't.
I'm telling you, it's called reading.
Exactly, and you're not getting paid to hold a class.
Exactly. So I also try to show some of the brothers. I said, look, you know what? This is why I spend a lot of time talking to the Gambians because they're just the opposite. These dudes are younger than me or younger than I. Some of them are teachers. They teach and then they go farm. Farming with one guy is farming with a donkey and a plow. But I learned from this brother. I'm telling you.
Right. I hear you.
The mindset is so much different to me than African Americans. The mindset is just different.
And it's something we could learn that we could learn from it.
That's what I always say. Take the time. You can learn from the Gambians, believe me.
And what makes it nice? What is the different part of it that's nice, you know? But all right, so this is one thing that I found with a lot of interaction in general, no matter what the perspective was, it tends to be a lot of people that don't know how the country operates, like the government.
Exactly. You keyword how it operates.
How it operates. And when you see it online, I hear it in different ways. I hear key talking points that let me know this person doesn't know what's going on or how the branches of government are organized, or also even connected with the courts. So I brought up this issue. I thought it was a perfect issue, right? I thought it was kind of a central issue, and that's the Biden. What was it called? Rescue plan for Black American farmers and minorities.
Okay.
Farmers and minorities.
2020. I know about that, but go ahead.
Yeah. And it's held up in court right now, right? Yeah. It's held up in court. So the money has been what did they call it when they
allocated?
The money that was allocated by the Biden administration was $4 billion, right? But the money has been adjudicated. It's being adjudicated in court. No, not adjudicated. It's being adjudicated in court, but until there's a outcome, they block the money from being sent to the farmers. What is that called? What's the language they use when
I think the block is about right. It's on hold, but basically it's blocked, it's on hold until the courts make a decision.
Yeah, the judge did that, right? Now I thought this was a beautiful case because here it is that they use. You hear this statement all the time. What have Biden or Harris done for Black people? You hear that question all the time. And here in that in the rescue plan, right, 2021, it uses the language Black farmers and minorities. It uses that language. And it's being held up in court for that reason. For that specific reason, because when you read the response is that there's white farmers, of course, organized by some Trump lawyers, right? Some Republican lawyers, but they found some white farmers that don't like it, right? And they got them together and opens cases against it to block it, injunctions, right, to stop it, right? Now, and their reasoning is that it's racist to use that language. It's racist to only allocate funds to Blacks and minorities, right? Now, I thought that was interesting because people say all the time, what have you done for Black people? But here in the court, it's being stopped because they're being so specific about the group of people, right? Now, that's to me, it seems like that's a great case to look at because we're always saying, what have they done for Black people? Well, here's how the system works, y'all. Come along.
That's the point. This is how the system works. And see, I don't even know the story, but I can follow you. Because the general argument with Republicans is that it's supposed to be race neutral. Mm-hmm. And anytime Black people claim they want something race specific, you keep telling them you cannot do that. You have to find other ways to do things. And if you do be race specific, as in this case, you always have the courts, and they seem to never put together that the courts are appointed by people that they elect.
Exactly.
So I don't care how cute or how nice or how handsome the person you want to vote for is. You want to look at who he's going to appoint to be on the judge in the courts, because they're going to come back and bite you 2 years later when you have court cases like this. And to me, it's that type of thinking you cannot tend to put in one person's head, or too many people. You can't put them in their head at the same time. All I can see is one person vote, this other person appoints, but I don't see them doing it at the same time, and the cause and effect of each other. I'm like, but it happens all the time. What case do you need to fix? What case do you need to analyze to see that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's the point.
This case is a good example.
Exactly, because that's the reason why they blocked it, because of that language. Now, it also seemed, you hear a lot of disinformation. Like even here, the first link they have here is Biden admin leaves out Black Americans. But you see, it's the same tactic. It's the same tactic. So you would prefer, right? This individual is probably not a lawyer, but who knows? It could be, right? They would have it be rewritten to Black Americans, right? A specific group. And to me, it seems like they would still, even if they thought for some reason that the term Black American and no one else could pass through, right? To me, it seemed like this case would be one they would still be watching closely.
Exactly.
But they're not watching it closely. I'm asking people about this bill every time I go online now, and most of these people that support Trump never heard of the bill. Most of the Black folks,
right?
Never heard of the bill.
Yeah. And it's other ones like that. For me, the one that comes to my mind, there's a gun lawsuit in Gary, and gun violence is plaguing our community so horribly that you would think people are like, oh wow, so Gary is at least being more successful than others. I think Gary is probably the last case too, where they are going to try to sue the gun manufacturers.
Good luck with that. But I'll be too. We all will.
Well, the state of Indiana, which is ruby red, said no, Gary, which is majority Black, you can't do that. And Gary said, yes, we can. So, Gary has at least been another step successful so far. And that should be something we all should be looking at. Because even yesterday, a policeman got killed in D.C. He was going to a Black guy. They was chasing up with some Black guy. And he clogged up the whole Black neighborhood up in Northeast D.C., causing Black people to be late to go home. And then next thing you know, the gun goes down the sewer. The Black policeman go look for the gun. He ends up getting killed. So now his family is all upset and disrupted for the rest of their lives over a Black man with a gun. So
I mean, not to say anything about, not to make it seem like it's only a problem with Black men, but there's a lot of guns. There's always been guns, man, and just the guns, like. Yeah,
but the guns disproportionately affect our neighborhood. So that should be something that we should be like, we need to get these guns under control. This dude is messing up my life. I can't get home on time today.
Yeah, it's not helping anybody.
No, I would have been in that car pissed.
Yeah, it's actually, you're more likely to face that. Would you say you're more likely to face that than, let's say, racial discrimination in Gary, Indiana?
I think the whole city. Now, this happened in D.C.
But just an example.
But in Gary, generally, the whole city has been a victim of racism. Internal and external. Yeah, I know. But I would say my day-to-day living in Gary, no, I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Right. It's more so.
And I think that was the beauty of growing up in a majority Black community. Because then when I moved out and had to live with white people, I didn't know what the hell what they were doing, because I wasn't used to all that. And I ain't know somebody telling me I was inferior. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
In Gary, I was it. Mm-hmm. So for me to come outside my own community and find someone telling me that I'm supposed to do something else or be something else, I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
Seriously, I didn't know what that meant.
I didn't know.
I looked at them like they were crazy.
I never had that experience before. It's true. Yeah, go ahead. You looked at him like he was crazy.
Yeah, because I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, you're more likely to. Guns is a issue you need to face every single day of the week, and Racism is too, but even if you don't experience it, firsthand, it's systemic racism is really what we should all be in agreement about, at least. And right now, when it comes to these courts, we're not, these people that vote for Trump, the black people that vote for Trump, they don't see the systemic racism that he's projecting on them. He's telling them, I'm going to take your vote. He's telling them.
I know, that's even worse. He's like saying, I know it exists, but I'm going to amplify it.
Amplify it. And they're like, yeah, Trump, yeah. Stop me.
Amplify it.
Shut down my voting office over here. It's insane. All right. Well, and let me ask you this. What do you think now? Kamala Harris, how much time do we have? We've been on 20 minutes. Oh, 5 more minutes. Okay. Kamala Harris. What does she represent to you?
She represents to me tomorrow. Because that's where we're going. That's where this country is going. The first thing I look at is the fact that, right today, I mean, things change, but today I'm looking at her multiracial, multi-religious family. That's where we're going. Even my own family now is much more diverse than it has been for the past 200 years. And it's not an issue. I mean, it's people being people and different backgrounds. And it's like, it's all cool. We all don't get up in the morning and want a bowl of grits. Some people want to eat something else. That's okay.
It's a part of American. It's a fact in American society. That's how it's always been in American society. There is some mixing. That's not new. And but it's not so much the physical thing you're talking about. It's more like her mindset.
It's the spirit. It's the spirit. But I think what she said last night in her interview was that it's also the ending of this nastiness that Donald Trump brought into this whole country.
Yeah.
Where it's almost natural just to be a nasty, and I won't use that nasty B word on your show, but it's like being
all the time. Not that word though, not the B word. You're right. No, not at all, actually. I used anyway.
But it's the word that Shirley Chisholm used to call Reverend Fontroy when he backstabbed her.
Well, they're out there. If it's a man, I call it Mitch. You're allowed to call men Mitches.
Okay. Well, I think it's worse than the Mitches. It's worse than that one. It's the other one. Yeah. But I just say that she said about ending this nastiness where it's okay to hate people, to tell people that something is wrong with them, to belittle people, to try to knock everybody to the side. That type of attitude and behavior is being normal, and it's been acceptance, and is lying, and is telling people something is true when it isn't true. All that kind of stuff. It's just totally un-American. Even though the country hasn't been perfect, it's never been that nasty.
Mm-hmm. It's never been that nasty. It's true, and you can't get rid of all the problems at once. But Trump gave folks almost everything to deal with. Like right now, if you're not convinced that systemic oppression exists, Trump is the perfect symbol that it does.
Yeah.
He's the perfect symbol.
But the hard part, Victor, is everybody don't see that, and actually they cheer it. I mean, I have black males who cheer it. When white people cheer it, I understand that they may not have the ability to process it. But black people, we are it. So we should know what it's like to be processed and chewed out. So we should know what the process is. And you oftentimes see black people like, okay, no, he's and it's some people I don't even respond to because it's just so insane. I'm like, but you're black. You know what that's like.
Right. You know what discrimination's like.
Right.
You know how unfair it is.
Right.
Exactly. But in this case, everyone doesn't see how unfair Kamala has been treated. Like unfair is an understatement.
Yeah, just in one guy was having one. I don't know. Some people were just saying, for instance, I think the other crazy one, as far as being untreated unfairly, is someone was telling me, for this, is that they like the government to spend more money on feeding kids, like for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, we already do that in DC. And then you saw where the Minnesota governor said, no, we also make sure that our kids are fed. I don't know if DC has breakfast in the morning, but generally DC makes sure its people are fed.
Yeah. I think, well, don't quote me, but when I grew up, the lunch program was free. It was for everybody. If you wanted it, you could easily sign up for it. Or actually, I think you could sign up for it, and they even had more than was, allotted, of course. So if somebody didn't sign up for it and missed a meal, they could still get something to eat. Yeah, I grew up in that kind of DC. I mean, the give and take. We had the free lunch. Federal government still had us in dilapidated schools, but
right.
I think we go with the bad.
Well, let's put it say in Minnesota, they have a whole program. And I think there's other states that have programs, and they all these states. So I was trying to tell this woman in Alabama, it's not the nation, it's you and your state that doesn't have those type of programs.
Yo, that's an excellent point.
And so when I tell you that Kamala wants to have that for everybody,
right?
On the federal level, you should be jumping on it. But she still finds other reasons. And that's what I was talking about you earlier when you were speaking about people of that ilk. So yeah, they're constantly finding something else. Okay, well, show me a link. And it's just something that you constantly, to me, it's almost like you want to eat yourself whole. So you finally found some other illness you have.
Yes.
It's
discrimination. She just ain't good enough. And, some of it, when I analyze it, it comes down to that to me. Like, these are, I never look at the profiles because I know a lot of, or I do sometimes to see how old they are. Mm-hmm. A lot of the profiles on my page that are Trump supporters are like 1-2 year old accounts. You know what I mean? No personal information. And I try to stress to people, I'm a real person with my opinion. I'm telling you this. I'm showing you who I am. I'm telling you about why I'm here talking about the things I'm talking about to give a perspective. But I'm real. I stand behind my statements. But a lot of these people, you don't know if they're just someone in China, no pun to China, or someone in anywhere.
Wherever.
Anybody, right? Yeah, somebody in Moscow.
That's why I like when you make comments about posters. Sometimes I try to be not overdo what you're doing, but I like to say, well, this dude is in Copenhagen. He's thinking, and he knows more than you do. You're right in the shadows of the Washington Monument, and you don't know the Washington Monument even exists. That's messed up.
And that is like being a child,
right? And we have some continental African readers that know more about how America works than people who were born and raised here. And I'm like, okay, this is a problem. You don't see this bit a problem? This is a problem.
Yeah, civics, lack of civics, and it's terrible. Wow. What else? There was one other question I wanted to ask you to tie into that. What was the last one?
Yeah, we don't want to stay too long. We don't want to lose our audience.
No, we don't want to lose our audience. You know what? What's your prediction? Is Kamala going to win? A landslide or no landslide?
I think at the end of the day, she will win. At the end of the day, the Democrats will take both the House and the Senate, only because I think that as we continue to go along, people will see the difference between the two, and that there'll be other forces such as Trump just constantly making a fool of himself, and the courts constantly saying, look, something is wrong with this man. That, hopefully the people who are sitting on the margins would say, hey, I do have a stake in this game. This does affect my life, and I do need to take control of my situation.
People need to think about that while the opportunity is there. The time is now for sure. Look at this comment right here. We good out here. Stay as long as you want, Wayne.
Well, that is so nice to hear.
There you go. So now everybody has an introduction to, I said founder, but he says the publisher of Port of Harlem magazine. You have to check out Port of Harlem magazine. It's a wonderful magazine. It's connecting people from all over. And the brother, as you can see here, knows a lot and has a lot to offer. So I want to thank you for coming out, my brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're at portofharlem.net. So the word, then .net.
Portofharlem.net. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Exactly.
And our subscriptions are free. And that it means a lot to us because that means you get an email from us every other week. And we can actually count on, our numbers increasing. When people come and visit and don't subscribe, our numbers that's not as meaningful as it is when they actually count and they're on the roll, so to speak. It's like sort of being on the voting roll. And before you go too far, if I can, I'm going to put it in your head and let you go back to you, is that, also one of my big issues is to get Black people in particular to quit talking about talking. If you're going to participate, you have to participate with time and dollars. Otherwise, you just don't count.
Yes. Yeah.
So sign up for a free subscription means that you're counting. You're making sure that you are counted.
Yeah. Well, for everybody here, it's definitely going to go over there and subscribe. I love the content, but I've been following it, so I'm happy I get a chance to share it to some of my folks. And my message to your folks is come over here if you like more international talk and you want to see more talk like this openly, international or, politics. Let's say it like that, diaspora politics. You're welcome to come over here and join the conversation as well.
Yeah, we're going to post this, and you have to give me the details on how they either sign up for it or subscribe to it, because this is new to me. I saw it's a whole different new streaming or new platform. Never heard of it before. And this is why I appreciate you, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, we're on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm using the StreamYard platform.
See, that without a... Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Because I'm always finding out something new.
You know what? I was thinking about saying that to you yesterday, that you should probably start doing lives yourself.
Uh-huh. I don't know. I like the podcast better right now.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Well, if you start yours up, I'll be willing to hop over and support yours as well, brother. I appreciate you, Wayne.
Appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. I will do that.
All right. So we're going to call it a good day for now, but I know Wayne is going to be back because guess what? The election is in 2 months. It's 2 months. We're going to have plenty to talk about. And hopefully it's heated with some people next time. We'll see.
And do it with some people. We'll do what now?
Hopefully it gets heated, because the Trump supporters are going to be angry around that time.
You know what? That's their problem. To me, they're just like Harriet's husband. We don't know nothing about Harriet's husband because he was on the wrong side of history.
Exactly. And I can't be. I looked at it. I considered a lot of the things that Trump folks say, particularly Black Trump people. I research everybody, though. It doesn't matter what they say. But I found out that, no, they're manipulating about Kamala's history, her story, her record, everything. They've been lying. That's just it. And it's a dirty, nasty lie that can only come from someone that hates her because of what she represents. I'm talking about racial hate, gender hate. This is pure hate, the things they're saying about her. So I could never stand with that. And we should all think about where we do stand in history. We're going to find out real soon. I appreciate you, brother.
All right.
See you later. I'll be back later on this evening. So.
Okay.
To you like this, clap your hands, everybody clap your hands. Introducing, this is the joint where we give shout outs to all the peeps, you know what I'm saying? We couldn't do this joint without spreading some love to the ones. Yo, check it, clear.
You're quite hostile. You're quite hostile. You're quite hostile. You're quite hostile.
Everything.